What's going on? Welcome to episode 2 of the Potty Mouths podcast. As always, I am Greg,
And I'm Vin.
and let's get right into it.
Let's do it. Let's get this going.
Let's do some NFL reaction. Week 1. We'll
Oof.
start with the two weeknight game with Kansas City and Philadelphia, with two good wins against good opponents. Any thoughts on the Chiefs? We'll start with the Chiefs and the Ravens first.
Well, start with the Chiefs. Whoever drafted for them and is in charge of their selections obviously is incredible with their receivers in the last 2 years. Passing up, I think the Bills passed up for Keon Coleman and then fell to the Chiefs. 2 touchdown performance.
We're not worthy.
Chiefs. So personally did not love all the early flags in that game, especially the penalties on the Ravens offensive line. I think it was insane. But Chiefs are pretty loaded again. I don't think they played their best, and I don't think the Ravens really performed up to what their level is. Obviously, you heard what I think they're going to be last week. But as expected, close game. 2 of the best.
Was that your AFC title game prediction?
Yes.
You sticking with it? I know it's week 1.
Yeah. I think the Ravens. The only problem I have with the Ravens, as opposed to the Chiefs, is that they have Zay Flowers, and I guess that's it. And that's, I think, the problem with a lot of teams. Just having a number 1, and I know Mark Andrews is there, and the other kid likely played great.
Till the end.
Till the end.
He couldn't toe the line.
Could you ask for a better game on Thursday night? Really? I mean, if you're a fan of football and it comes down to that last play, toe in or toe out, it was the finish you're hoping for, and not some blowout or some one-sided game. So, Chiefs, Ravens, I think they delivered for that game. I think going forward, the Ravens will be the team to beat. I think Lamar needs a little bit more help, but having Henry in the backfield is a tremendous difference. You can see that already, even though Dobbins had a great week for the Chargers. But, I think the Chiefs looked as good as they could for week 1.
Back to what you said. A lot of Flowers. Andrews and Kelsey were, I won't say no-shows, but close. I mean, I'm sure that was scheme. I'm sure that was defense. But yeah, Worthy looked great. They're locked and loaded. Give Andy Reid a speed guy, and then take the speed guy away, and Tyreek Hill, and they'll still win a ring. So
it's plug and play.
That's the top of the AFC.
Yep.
Then NFC, Friday night, the Peacock game. We had late injury in another good game in Brazil with a bad field and bad luck at the end for Jordan Love, who was one of my MVP candidates, but now he's out multiple weeks with a sprained MCL. And now they go 0-1, and now it's help me out there. Malik Willis, right?
Malik Willis, yeah.
Malik Willis.
He's going to play. I don't know how that's going to work out, but there was talks of bringing somebody else in. I guess they think they can survive with Malik Willis, which I don't really know if that's a possibility per se. But unload the ball to Jalen Reed and let him run 80 yards. Is the plan, I guess.
No love for Malik? There you go.
No.
No, but that's I mean, the whole division's 1-0 except them. So they behind the 8 ball to start. Any thoughts on the Eagles with a good win? And Saquon looking like young Saquon.
So I think Barkley is going to be what McCaffrey was to the 49ers 2 years ago. That they're loaded in every position offensively. And now to have him do so much out of the backfield for them, just like you can line him up, you can throw, he catches balls out of the backfield. He's going to reinventing himself there because it's not all on him. It's not like when he's a Giant, you were expecting him to break a 60, 70-yard run and Saquon being Saquon, right? They don't have to do
with a
that
bad line or a below
with a
average
bad
line.
line, which the Eagles have a very good line. So it was a great game for him. He's gonna have a great year there if he's healthy, and they maintain the balance that they have because their receivers are. And end of the game, I know Brown is their big gun, but they threw the ball to Devontae a lot, and they trust him a lot, and they preserved, you know, a good win for them at the end of the game.
All right, as a Niner fan, I have a question for you.
Go.
Would you rather have your offensive weapons and offensive line, or would you rather have the Eagles? Or do you not think it's close? You think McCaffrey's head and shoulders above Barkley? Do you think your O-line's above theirs? Do you think Brock Purdy's better than Hurts?
I think that Shanahan's better than their head coach,
fair.
and I think that is the big difference in a lot. And if you watch the Jet game,
we'll get that. We'll get there, but weapons only.
Weapons only.
You're putting Debo and Ayuk above them?
I'm going to take the Niners. We went in there last year and absolutely annihilated them. I know they didn't have Barkley. I get it. I think the Eagles were undefeated going into that game, maybe, or close, maybe with one loss, and we absolutely
Jets
stomped them. Right. So that was a loss, and they were dominant. And I just think it comes down to coaching. I think Shanahan's a better coach. I don't think I said this last week too. I don't think Hurts and the head coach there have the relationship that Shanahan does with his players, and I think Shanahan's just the X's and O's guy better.
Yeah, my buddy Adam got mad at me for last week when I said there was Sirianni drama and Hurts drama. I didn't necessarily mean with each other. I meant AJ Brown talking some smack and Hurts, and Sirianni just being kind of an oddball, yelling at Chiefs fans and whatever, or not. Whose fans was yelling at after they won?
It's just a distraction, regardless. I mean, it's Big Dom on the sideline last year, and he's back again this year. I mean, it's just I don't understand. I mean, they're loaded, and I think that he doesn't make it out there this year. I think he's going to wind up. He'll finish the season there, but I think with a guy like a LaFleur, Shanahan, McVay, or a Coach Reed kind of guy, that team is a Super Bowl. That's a Super Bowl team with the right coach.
So you're saying Sirianni's done?
Yes, I thought he was done last year.
After the shakeup?
I thought he was done last year. I thought that was it, but here we are. So one more run, but this is.
We just talked about him a little bit. Let's get to the Jets and the Monday night game.
Yeah,
where they could not stop the run to save their lives. They lost too many D linemen. Reddick wouldn't have helped that much. He's a pass rusher, but again, they got no pressure on Purdy. That was a complete time of possession dominant performance by a better team, by a more experienced team that's been together. I wanted better from the Jets. I didn't expect to win, but I did expect maybe a one-score game. But maybe that's just wishful thinking. Rodgers hasn't played. Ayuk looked a little rusty. Rodgers looked a little rusty. But as a Jet fan, Conklin, I know Mike Williams was kind of on a snap count. Yeah. And those guys need to make a play for him, get open. Lazard showed up late. He had the drop early. The Jets are not going to live up to their potential if it's just Hall and Wilson and Hall and Wilson.
Yeah.
And the defense, they have playmakers. My brother couldn't watch the game, I think, because the whole the DirecTV nonsense contract-wise, whatever.
Right.
So he asked me, did it look like that? Did it look like a blowout? And I said, if the Jets didn't have a good defense, even though it didn't play well, I thought the Niners would have scored 50 points. I thought it would have been Saints, Panthers 2.0, but the Jets made enough plays to hold them to field goals. And as a Niner fan, I'll let you expand on that.
So watching every snap of the game, which I normally don't do, but only Niner games I'll watch the full game. At the beginning of that game, Lazard catches that open pass, right? And they keep
Extend the drive.
moving the ball, right? They're in good shape, right? But then turnover, right? We get the ball back, field goal. Jets march right down the field though. So
That was the best drive.
7-3, right? Right
That
away.
was the best New York Jets drive, I'll say, since Mark Sanchez.
So it was Niners and Jets, 4 and outs, and then Brees fumbles. That's when we scored the field goal. You guys come down. My argument is 2 things here. Robert Saleh's the defensive coach. The defense didn't look like the Jet defense that everybody's making them out to be.
How much of that do you attribute to
Shanahan
knowing everything he's about?
Well, it goes both ways, right? Because he should know everything that Shanahan's about as well. And being a defensive coach, and for a couple of years under that tree there, you would expect a little bit more from the defensive coordinator, the ex-defensive coordinator from the 49ers, regardless of who's running the ball.
Doesn't Shanahan beat all his Doesn't Shanahan beat all his little proteges? Didn't he beat McDaniel? McVay he owns, right? He owns McVay, right?
Yeah, McVay. Except for the NFC Championship game against the Rams, where we dropped the interception at the end of the game. But yeah, I expected more defensively from the Jets. I think you hit it right on the head.
Too.
If you're gonna run the ball, if you're gonna run the ball with Brees and throw every ball to Wilson, it's gonna be very difficult. Go back to what I said about the Ravens. I know he's got Lazard and he's got Mike Williams. These are guys that are old now, and they're not number 2 guys anymore, right? They were great in Green Bay. They were great on the Chargers, but they're old and they're hurt, and he needs to alleviate some off of Wilson. You need another guy. Conklin was kind of not around, and Brees Hall can't do everything. So
they have a good running back room, but I guess Rodgers doesn't trust them yet for either pass blocking or pass catching. I don't know yet. Right. But I'll go back to what I said last week. Reddick, you'd think he'd be signed already this week. Flip him for Devontae, throw a 2nd round, throw a 4th round. Do what you got to do. Get a weapon, and bring in another D lineman. You let too many D linemen go to clog up the holes for the Jets. But listen, it's week 1. The schedule gets softer. So I expect him to be 1-1. Aaron Rodgers had never been 0-2 in his career, and I don't expect that to be.
I'll say this
Sunday.
I don't think the Jets are what they were. Let's not define them for what happened on week 1. The 49ers are a good football team. They're playing in San Francisco. It's week 1, and they have a healthy quarterback, and they just. He didn't play all preseason. People can say what they want about preseason. You can say whatever you want. Practice reps, joint practices.
We just talked about it before we came on. The worst quarterback week 1 since 2007. The average yards per game were 188. I think it was the lowest amount of total touchdowns thrown for week 1 since 2006. Like you said, these guys don't play preseason.
Yeah,
but when you look at the Mount Rushmore, active or inactive, those guys played preseason. Brady played. Yep. Worthy was catching balls from Mahomes this preseason.
100%.
That means something.
It means something. Yeah, of course it does. And going back just quick on the Niners and the Jets, the Niners with the weapons they have, and they can. And Christian McCaffrey didn't play, and he won't play this week as well.
Mason maybe an unknown. He had a hell of a night.
Yeah, they're gonna treat September like an extended preseason. They're gonna, if they can get away with not playing guys because they need them for December and January, then that's what's gonna happen. Just like the Patriots used to do in their day when Brady was there. They knew that they were gonna be there at the end, and you can preserve guys. I said it last week. McCaffrey's an every other year guy. So here we are already, and that's a big problem if he's going to be hurt long term. I don't think that's the case. I really do think they're just protecting him. But once again, preseason matters, in my opinion.
To that point, that's why I don't. So I'm not anti-load management in the NBA, but that's a different topic for a different month. We'll get there.
Yeah.
All right. Next game we'll talk about just real quickly, Dak gets his deal in the morning and then dominates a very good defense. Mainly his defense dominated an offense with 2 tackles out and a declining Deshaun Watson. Dallas looks great. I mean, they're when they're going on all cylinders, they're tough to beat in the regular season. I like Dak. I like Dak in the regular season. Defense has playmakers everywhere. Diggs is back. He had a pick. I didn't.
That's a big difference.
I didn't watch every snap. I was out, not with the boys, but I saw what was going on, and I barely saw Watson on the field. And he's got Cooper. I know he threw a touchdown. Help me out to the new signing, right? Who had that touchdown?
Judy had a touchdown.
Judy, yes, thank you. It was whether that was a signing or trade, that was a new acquisition. He's got weapons. They have a good offensive line when healthy, but Watson's going to hold them back. And now he's got new allegations, which I think they can get out of his contract, which is a nightmare contract. So we could see Jameis Winston before too long. But what do you want to expand on? You want to talk about Dallas there, or do you want to talk about 0-1 Cleveland?
0-1 Cleveland is the conversation piece here, because I think the expectancy was a Dallas win, right? And they're a good team.
I don't know. I feel like
when they're all healthy.
Talking to my friends at the bar, it was kind of split. People thought that Dak was gonna.
Well, that's because you thinking Deshaun Watson was going to show up from 5 years ago.
That's true.
And that's obviously not the case. He's a shell of himself. I think, like I said to you previously, before we even became on air today, you can see it, the way he's playing. It reflects his, obviously, life outside of the football field, and it's affecting that team. Stefanski's a great coach. I mean, if you can win with Joe Flacco and just...
Yeah.
I mean, Joe Flacco.
Defense is great. Yeah. Deshaun not son.
Yeah. Well, he's
just Deshaun. That's done.
Very done. And it's a shame because they're good. You're gonna waste their defense. It's like Land of the Misfit Toys, though. But I think Elijah Moore's on that team.
Yeah, he wanted out. He wanted out of the Jets.
On that team, it's like all the guys that didn't work out somewhere else are there. The running backs, and when Chubb comes back, they're gonna be pretty good in the backfield. Obviously, not having a quarterback that's competent is going to be a problem. And
I do want to circle back to the Packers.
Yes.
If Willis plays poorly this weekend and they really have nothing going, I know Jacoby Jones, I believe, is practicing now. He's a little banged up. Do you go out and sign Tannehill?
Absolutely. I would have signed him already. I mean, he's not going to hurt you. He's obviously better than Malik Willis because he's the one who played over Malik Willis in Tennessee, right? So
yeah.
And then Levis played at the end. So it's, or you're gonna, the other conversation was trade for Jameis Winston or somebody along those lines, or.
Well, I think Jameis is going to be needed.
Yeah, they got DTR also. I guess they don't really trust DTR.
Yeah, DTR. Well, they have like 5 quarterbacks last year, the Browns.
Yeah, and they cut Hundley, right? Because Hundley went back to the Ravens, and we talked about that last week. But yeah, I don't see a Tannehill signing being a negative at all. I think it would help that, especially the experience in the quarterback room, as they call it, and conversations. And
all right, well, let's get to some losses, some embarrassing losses. How's about the Jaguars with the Etienne fumble late, which caused the turnaround, the rally, the big comeback from the Miami Dolphins, and not to toot my own horn, a little Barry Horowitz, but
slap on the back.
Tua played a hell of a game when not many quarterbacks did. He hit Tyreek for the bomb. Any thoughts on Trevor Lawrence? Any thoughts on that game in general? Is it what you expected that the Dolphins got out of there with a win?
A little bit closer than I thought it would really be. I don't think the Jaguars are going to be what everybody thinks they're going to be as far as what their record's supposed to be. I mean, I think Trevor Lawrence has a lot to live up to, obviously being the highest paid, one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league. The drama before the game, I think it had all the writing on the wall for them to win, in my opinion. I expected more of the Dolphins. I thought they would put up more points, but I guess my expectancy for week 1 was a little bit too high for them. No, the outcome was what I thought it would be. Jaguars are okay, and that's how they played. They played okay. They didn't play good enough to win, unfortunately, for them this week. The fumble obviously killed them. So
my guy Brian Thomas played well, looked good, looked better than some other rookie receivers out there. But we'll get to him down the road if he's approaching Rookie of the Year conversation. All right, another bad loss at home. Some contract drama going on, and T. Higgins was out. But the Bengals, another bad fumble, pretty much at the goal line. That was one of my Royal Flush picks. I think it got like 44% of people out of like ESPN Survivor pools.
Yeah, probably.
Bad loss. But to flip it to the Patriots side, good win.
Yeah.
Could be a sign of, hey, Bill's out of here. We have a new voice. Let's rally around this guy and let's just show up. We got a running back. We have always had a defense. Combine that with Burrow is notoriously a slow starter.
Yep.
I mean, it doesn't make sense that happened, but I could see the elements to lead to a Patriots win. Any thoughts on that one?
The Jamar Chase story has to end because you can't game plan and not, is he playing? Is he not playing? How many balls is he going to get? How much practice has he had? I mean, it affects a lot of things moving there.
The T. Higgins is hurt, so I don't think he's playing this week. Patriots defense played well.
They always will.
I mean, people labeling them to be bottom feeder, right? Them and the Panthers, 2 worst teams. I mean, you can throw the Giants in there now too because they are brutal.
The Broncos suck.
I thought the Bengals were going to win the game. I thought they were going to cover the line. I thought everything would go for them. I thought Joe would step up and be Joe Burrow, regardless of the Chase situation. I think the running game was not existent per se.
I know Zach Moss got in, but yeah. It seemed like they couldn't get anything going.
Definite surprise of the week. Good for the Patriots. We'll see what happens this week. I mean, it's a long season.
It's early, but
good win.
It's a bear for the Bengals. Now they have to play Kansas City week 2 after that performance. All right,
but you can only go up. I mean, it can't get worse than last week. And
right,
I think it's a good spot for them. I know you're thinking Chiefs, but whatever.
No, listen, Burrow's a gamer. I love him. Love Chase Higgins. I don't know if he's playing. I do like Zach Moss a lot. I got into that last week. It's just Kansas City looks like they're in week 7, and the Bengals look like they were week 2 of the preseason. But whatever. It really doesn't. It means nothing when you got 2 Pro Bowl quarterbacks that can play great or play mediocre.
Look, I said it last week too. The Raiders dismantled the Chiefs last year on Christmas Day, and everybody thought that was it. There's no way this team, whether they look great in week 1, like they're in week 7, 8, 9, and 10, anything can happen. The Bengals are not they're a good football team. They'll bounce back. I think it's a great spot for them. Not having Higgins is going to be a problem, though.
Any given Sunday with the eyeball on the field? That's what you're saying?
Pretty much. Yeah, it's this is exactly what it is. It's just.
No, I hear you. And to that point, the next game I'll get into, just we'll do it quickly. They came back and won. Buffalo tested, but they win against Arizona. They came back too, just like the Dolphins.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on that? They looked good. I know people bash their coach, but Josh Allen's a gunslinger, and he's going to succeed more often than he fails.
I thought the Bills would win the game. I'm not always for West Coast teams coming to play on the East Coast and having a early game, so I thought that was going against the Cardinals from the beginning, but they came out firing, touchdown return on the kickoff or punt, whatever it was.
First one we saw with the new rules.
Yeah. But listen, Josh Allen, I'll tell you what, I'll take him tonight too. I'll take him over Tua. I'll take the Bills.
That's crazy talk. 2 is the MVP.
Yeah, I guess.
I'm sticking with my prediction.
Week 1 maybe. But no, I think it was a good game. They came back. Josh Allen's Josh Allen. And he's a gamer. I mean, the drama with Diggs and all the nonsense last year doesn't matter. I think he's one of those guys that no matter who's on the outside, he's going to make them players, and he'll show that again tonight when they play.
So you're taking tonight. Hopefully, we get this video posted before kickoff. Yep. Tonight, you're taking Buffalo.
I'm taking the Bills tonight. Right. I'm taking the better quarterback. I'm taking
the healthier team too.
Absolutely.
Because I believe Mostert's out. A-Chain's
hurt.
A-Chain's
maybe,
out?
But he's hurt.
Okay.
His ankle injury.
All right, then two quick performances I just want to touch on. Baker Mayfield, 4 touchdowns. Looked awesome. Great. Found Evans. Godwin's doing more things in the offense. He was kind of a ghost last year, and I love that guy. And New Orleans cruised, and the Panthers made Derek Carr look like prime Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
So, any thoughts on how bad any of those opponents were, or any comments on Tampa Bay and New Orleans doing what they had to do?
It's just wild to me that you thought Baker Mayfield, I mean, in Cleveland, won them games, right? Took them to the playoffs one year.
Correct. And I believe they beat the Steelers.
So,
but I think those it's one of the years where Ben couldn't walk, but he somehow made the playoffs.
To me, Baker had a great game. I think Mike Evans is ageless. I think he's unbelievable.
Yeah,
I'm happy for Baker Mayfield. I'm sad that the Browns gave up on him so easily. I think he's would have been their guy if they would have just stuck with that process.
I feel bad for Baker and his wife. They got kicked out of their home. Weren't they living in the stadium?
Yeah, they were doing commercials and
they were living in the stadium and they got kicked out.
Yeah, they didn't want him there anymore.
Poor guy.
Because and then where do you go to Carolina and then the Rams and then
you don't know.
So great for Baker. Good win for Tampa. Godwin did have a good game. Evans obviously, and then touching on the Saints. Bryce Young, has he gotten worse?
Or has he gotten shorter?
Does he look small, right?
I think he got shorter.
He's one of those guys that would have probably really benefited, like Jordan Love, if they had a plan for him, right?
Yeah.
He just you have a bad team, Zach Wilson, and I don't think Zach Wilson's good, but these guys, once again, here's the keys to the car. Go, but you don't have a license. You know what I mean? And they wind up crashing, and that's exactly what's going to wind up happening there. I feel bad because I think once again a guy that probably could have benefited from sticking around a little bit and learning a little bit more. Great for great win.
Sitting behind someone. Keep Darnold.
Yeah,
keep
right.
Baker.
Yeah,
and let him sit and learn. Let him build a little muscle. He's got weapons. He's got Thielen. I know he's old. He's got Deontay Johnson, who I think still at the end of his prime. And then I know Brooks is on PUP. He'll come back and help them running. And they have Hubbard still.
Chuba.
They
have Leggett too.
And Leggett was a popular fantasy sleeper guy. But if Bryce can't get it done, then you got nothing.
Doomsday.
All right, and then we'll touch on 2 more games from week 1. Then we'll look forward to some games week 2. We already mentioned Bills, Dolphins. I will take the Dolphins tonight to win, just to wrap that bow, and then or tie that knot, whatever the hell you want me to say. All right, Lions, Rams, overtime, great game, rematch of the playoffs. Puka got hurt, Kupp showed up. Kyron was a workhorse, but just a case of the Lions being too good, too deep?
Yeah, Lions are good. Great game from Montgomery. Well, the receiver, what was his name? Williamson.
Yeah, I predicted that last week. He's gonna show up this year.
They're loaded. They're good.
Up.
I don't. Maybe if that game's in LA, it's the other way. I don't know. Puka getting hurt's a big problem.
Yeah.
Look, this is the same Rams team minus Aaron Donald. So
I think they lost.
Would love somebody to tell me that they're going to be better than they were last year. Just not.
I think they
possible.
lost their top 2 tacklers too at linebacker.
So you're going to tell me, like in conversation before the season started, that the Rams are going to beat the Niners in that division? No, I don't think so. Not without Aaron Donald on your defense. I'm sorry, we beat you with him. So what's the difference?
All right, last game from week 1 we'll dive into a little bit is somehow Chicago beat Tennessee after really doing nothing on offense, but special teams, defense got the job done. And there's Levis with the surrender cobra. Is that what they call that?
Oh my God, what happened? Where's my mayonnaise?
He had a little too much mayo on the hands with that awful pick 6. Yeah, so I'm kind of licking my chops as a Jet fan. We're going to play Tennessee as Vinny's camera disappeared. There we go.
Sorry.
All good. And then Caleb goes 1-0. Didn't look great, but a win's a win, and you don't apologize. Any thoughts on Levis making rookie mistakes in the second year and Caleb getting a win?
Caleb can thank his defense for getting the win. Caleb did not win the game. Caleb did not play like a number 1 overall draft pick.
Correct.
Tennessee gave them the game. Will Levis is like Ryan Tannehill 2.0, if you want to say, or worse.
Tannehill on the Dolphins? Tannehill on Titans wasn't terrible. He had weapons, though.
He had weapons, though, right? So, once again, if Derrick Henry's not in your backfield, I don't know how much pressure is going to not be on you. But
I mean, for Tennessee, the cupboard isn't bare with Pollard, Tajay, Ridley, Nuke.
Right.
I mean, and Okonkwo was not terrible. He's probably top 15 tight end.
I mean, good for the Bears, 1-0.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
And then they go to Houston.
Good
and
luck.
They're gonna get worked. Anyway, all right, so week 2. Pick up on that. We already did Bills Dolphins. Bengals Chiefs. Do you like the Bengals? Chiefs are 5.5-point favorites. I wish I could jump on board with you and say Burrow's going to show up because he always does and he always plays well. I don't know. I just have some trepidation. I think Chiefs go 2-0. I think Bengals go 0-2, and then I think the Bengals do what the Bengals do, and I think they reel off some wins. We talked about that. All right, Browns Jags, 2 0-1 teams going head to head. 2 teams with questions. I'd say more so Cleveland than Jacksonville. Questions at quarterback and expectations. Jags -3 at home against the Browns. What do you think is going to happen there?
Who's playing quarterback for the Browns?
Bubby Brister. I just got the notification.
It might be. You might be better off with Bubby Brister or the other old man who's the drunk Miami quarterback, Gozar. Drunk, he might be better.
So you have zero faith in Deshaun to pull out a win?
No.
Okay.
He's a shell of himself. He's no. Next. It stinks.
Next game. All right. Another playoff rematch for the Lions when the Buccaneers go into Detroit, and the Lions are 7.5-point favorites at home. Baker Mayfield's going to want that one. Their offense looks healthy. I think this is going to be a hell of a game. 7.5 seems like way too many points.
Way too many points. I thought the same thing when I was looking at it this morning.
What do you think? You think the Bucs have a shot or home team wins?
I think you're going to get another game like they had against the Rams. I think you're going to get
down to the wire kind of situation. I think last year has a lot on the line, like you said, with Baker coming back in there, and they could have easily won that game last year. So, I'll take the points. I don't think that they're gonna win, but I'll take the points.
Okay.
I hope Baker wins. I really do.
You know what? I'm gonna say Tampa wins. Fuck it.
It's not that's not a far off, analysis here.
Vegas is telling you it is. I don't know.
No, it's wild. I know. I agree.
All right. Anthony Richardson had like the throw of the month.
Yeah, wild too. Jeez, what an arm.
So they are -2.5 point favorites at Green Bay. Malik Willis. You think Indy goes into the famous Lambeau Field and gets a win?
Yep, I think Indy's going to go in there. I think they're going to build off of last week's game. AR, another game under his belt. Jonathan Taylor's on that team too. Don't forget. So I think
Pittman.
I think you're going to get everybody there. As far as their receivers too. I don't really trust Green Bay secondary. Watching last week a little bit. I'm going Colts on this one. I think.
You think they make that like a 2-score game and pull it out, or you think it's close like Vegas thinks?
It depends how many times Malik Willis loses the ball in the first quarter.
I'll take that as a 2-score game. All right, and then I actually am upset that we won't get the Russell Wilson revenge game because it's Justin Fields taking the Steelers into Denver, 2.5 point favorites. So it's going to be Justin Fields led Steelers against the Bo Nix led Broncos. I think the Steelers smother them, beat them at home. I would have liked to have seen corny Russell Wilson get his little revenge game. Good for him, but we won't get that. So I'll take the Steelers to win probably about by 9 or something. What do you think about that one?
I think that Russell Wilson shouldn't be in the league anymore. I'll take.
You don't want Mr. Unlimited to get some revenge.
I honestly can care less about either one of these two teams. They're the most boring teams that you can watch. I don't. The Steelers defense will win them the game because the Broncos are tough. I mean, I think Williams played well last week, running the ball for them. Bo Nix looked like
he stayed in college way too long, and people thought he was good, and he's not good.
Yeah, and it's going to be like Dylan Gabriel too when he comes out. But Steelers 2.5. I mean, the Broncos aren't good, so
I agree. All right, Bears Texans. We got into it a little bit. I think the Texans crush them. Do you have any faith in the Bears defense making that a game on the road in Houston?
Nope. 0.
Right.
I think it's going to be a
bloodbath. Last game we'll look ahead to is the Monday night game where Philly goes into Atlanta. Kirk Cousins did not look great against that very good Steelers D, but still Steelers can't score. Still won the game. 6.5 point favorites, Philadelphia over Atlanta in Atlanta. I'm taking the Eagles. I think the Falcons have some learning to do, some chemistry to build. And I know they have Bijan. I know Pitt scored. What do you think? You think Philly stays hot?
It's going to be a little bit closer than I think everyone else does. Falcons at home.
Thinking a field goal here?
Yeah, I'm thinking a field goal. And I'm thinking a couple Jalen Hurts turnovers makes the difference. That's why it's closer. Raheem Morris that's the head coach, right?
Correct.
Defensive guy. Has a good defensive squad for the most part. A lot of not household names as you would call them, but they're a solid group. Kirk Cousins has his good game at home. Pitts has another touchdown. Bijan looked good last week. And the Steelers were good, like you said. So it's a field goal game for me. And a game that I think the Falcons could actually win. So
on Monday nights, do you watch the Manning cast? Or are you old school regular?
No. I usually watch the games at no volume. I can't bear to listen to
Buck?
Most of these people.
Okay.
I mean, which is whatever.
Buck and White Jay-Z, a.k.a. Troy Aikman?
It's a tough listen. So I'm usually volume off, or I'll look at the Manning cast on my phone as the game's going on.
Good to know. All right, so we got into the news, the Love injury, the Dak deal. No news on the Reddick front. I say get him out of here. He's not helping you by being a
Get a
distraction.
receiver. Get a receiver for him, like we
Hey,
talked about earlier.
Devontae.
Whoever.
You touched on the Tyreek drama. Kind of a tough video to watch from at moments. I don't know. And then Watson, the allegation we touched on. We'll move ahead and still stay in the NFL for a little bit. We'll get into the rookie watch. We touched on a few of them. Caleb, thumbs down. Marvin Harrison. I don't know if you think you can give him a grade.
No.
And then Jaden Daniels. Couple of goal line rush touchdowns, right? Brian Thomas looked good. Neighbors did what he could with a mess of an offense. Any other rookies stick out to you?
I mean, for all the big names, I think Jaden Daniels probably had the best week of the group, and that was just desperation runs because they didn't have a choice at that point, and athletic Jaden took over and he scored. So I feel bad for Neighbors because he's doomed right now. I mean,
I think Locke can find him. Just like I was telling people that Sam Darnold isn't so bad that he can't find Jefferson.
Yeah,
he will find Addison when Hawkinson's off the pup. He will find. And you. I mean, I made the joke last week about the layup joke for not trusting Darnold, but I mean, let's be honest. He's a veteran now. Look at Geno Smith. I mean, took longer. Geno Smith knows what the hell he's doing in that league.
It's just not fair that you justify his play on the Jets. And we're not once again talking about a Super Bowl team that brought in a quarterback and they just didn't perform. No, the team was terrible, and he's not as bad as – he's a very good backup quarterback. He can win if he starts. The Niners know him, and they're going to play them this week. But it's poor Neighbors. I mean, good luck.
Like a good Neighbors, throw it in the air.
Jesus,
man, I liked it. All right, let's move on to college. Texas shellacked Michigan in the Big House. That was kind of expected. Michigan lost a lot. It was a battle of speed and lines, and Texas wins. Texas is going to win the speed battle. Texas is going to win the depth battle. Both quarterbacks played well. Michigan doesn't have a quarterback. Any thoughts on my childhood favorite college team getting whooped?
It's going to be a long time. Listen, there's a difference playing for Jim Harbaugh, okay, as opposed to anybody else. That's number one for recruiting, okay? That's a different world. I know they lost a lot. Texas is very good. But I expected a little bit more out of Michigan. I thought at home, 100,000 people there. Jeets is there, right? Desmond's there. I mean,
Jeets didn't go.
Charles Woodson there.
Miss me with the Jeets stuff. He didn't go.
I think it's. I'll tell you right now. I don't expect this head coach to be there very long. I know they just signed him, but I don't believe he's going to be the guy to right the ship.
All he needs is one win in November over that team that wears scarlet and gray.
Good luck with that.
And he's gone. So anyway, I think they'll give him a little leash. I think the players love him, and I think he loves that place, that job. But Michigan, they weren't a top 10 team. Shouldn't have been. They lost too much. Just look at the NFL rosters, and you'll know. All right, and then my second Royal Flush pick. Sorry, fade me, because App State got fucking trampled in Clemson, and they showed up. Clemson showed up. Surprise to maybe a few. So Clemson rolls. I have no. I'm just mentioning that because that was the Royal Flush.
No, of course I get it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know much about App State. Clemson stinks. Good for them too. Good win. Clemson's. We talked about it last week, Debo. Sweeney's got to go. Time's up.
All right. Let's get into the big upset. NIU takes down the Fighting Irish. The NIU's first win over a top 10 team. Good on them. That coach was great. He was in tears after.
Awesome.
I don't hate Freeman. Obviously, I grew up a Michigan fan. No love for Ohio State or Notre Dame. Whatever. I don't hate Freeman, but this is kind of a trend where he kind of loses to Marshall and teams like that at home too. So what do you think about that big upset?
I hate Notre Dame. Everything about Notre Dame. I'm so happy they lost. I love the NIU coach. Even reached out to Freeman to watch film about the things they picked up, and they can go over so he doesn't make the same mistakes again.
That's awesome.
For me, it's I'm not in the booster club at Notre Dame. I'm not in the blue and gold club. This is another Michigan conversation we just had. Not the right guy at the helm for the job.
Again, same thing with the players love him.
It's great. That doesn't win games.
No, you could be right.
Doesn't win games. Losses. Unfortunately, they're cursed when Kelly left, and
now Kelly's cursing my sideline.
I just don't think. No, listen. Go back and look at Notre Dame.
Literally cursing.
15 years. 15 years. Notre Dame loses these types of games all the time. That game that they shouldn't have, and what does it say for A&M? Are they good or are they not good?
I don't know yet.
Right.
Eggman?
So disaster. So I mean, I just it's like a Syracuse loss here, a Navy upset at home. I mean,
Marshall last year.
You can never lose these games. You cannot lose these games if you're
not
Notre Dame.
Yeah, I agree.
No, there's no chance. And so we're back on to whoever. I don't even know who they're playing Purdue this week.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
Fine. Good luck with that Purdue game too, because I think Purdue at home is going to be in-state game is going to be tough for Notre Dame.
Oh, I actually disagree. I think they bounce back. But all right, Tennessee absolutely crushes NC State neutral site game. Nico, I'm not going to try to pronounce his last name. Quarterback at Tennessee, Heisman hopeful now. He's putting up numbers. In Heupel's offense was always going to be good. The defense has improved. Tennessee could be a problem in the playoff and in the SEC more specifically. Did you watch that game? Did you see? Did you see the play? Yeah. So good on Tennessee.
Dominant.
They seem to be, reeling, going on all cylinders. NC State just
stinks.
Kind of a pretender after all the talk about the defense. They'll always have linebackers, but I guess a pretender. All right, another pretender, in my opinion, that people think are a huge contender, Oregon. Barely beating Boise State.
2 weeks in a row. 2 weeks in a row.
Boise State probably has the best running back in college. But they needed every play, every second to pull out that game. Did you watch that late on Peacock?
I don't get into the platform games. I stay away from most of those.
You're not alone.
I did bet Tennessee, Boise, and I forget the third one on a parlay, and it won. I didn't think Oregon was going to cover the number against Boise, and I think Tennessee's very talented. So, going back to the Oregon 2 weeks in a row, just slipping by, and everybody's expectations was Oregon, Ohio State at the end.
It's going to be Georgia, Texas.
If US is, well, I mean, Manning's pretty good too. That's a definite possibility. Don't sleep on the Hurricanes.
Miami will be there, but I think they'll get booted by a bigger
boys.
Team.
They're men now. They're not the little boy squad that they had from the Miami Boys and Girls Club. This is real players right there right now.
If you weren't a Canes fan, I'd listen a little more intently. All right, and then the last game we'll talk about in this last weekend from college, this game that you wanted to talk about, you brought up, and that was the Colorado Buffaloes going into Nebraska, getting worked by Raiola, the wannabe Pat Mahomes, the lookalike Pat Mahomes. Any thoughts on this? It was not close. It was not an easy watch.
If you watched Colorado play North Dakota State the first week, the writing was on the wall there. They're not disciplined. Somebody's going to tell me Deion Sanders is a good football coach. You're wrong. He stinks. He doesn't want to be there. I said that last week. I'll say it every day. He's there for his kids and Travis Hunter. And thank God for Travis Hunter, because I don't know where that team would be without that kid, because he's an absolute athlete. It's what I call him, a studley, is what they call him, right? That was the team I took, the third team, Nebraska, because I just can't. Colorado. I mean, God.
Jesus,
I teased something last week that I never paid off the tease. We were talking about, I think, Florida, and then you had mentioned Dion in our NCAA segment. Here's my question for you.
Yes.
Assuming Florida State, the wheels fall off, and they look at a change, either of those programs offering Dion the position?
No.
You think
I truly believe Dion goes to the NFL, because that's where the kids are going to go. His below average kid that plays cornerback is going to get drafted somehow, somewhat. He stinks too. The kid, if you're a fan of Shedeur Sanders walking off the field at the end of the game,
yeah, it was kind of like over. The Pistons Bulls feels.
I mean, come on, you got to listen. You're a big boy now, and you're making a lot of money in college. The school and your father has done a great job with making a lot of those kids money. The least you can do is stick around with your teammates at the end of that game where you just got your asses kicked, and hang out and congratulate whoever just beat your ass. Not go into the locker room, walk away. It's embarrassing for Dion, because him as a player and him as a coach is night and day. He coaches. I don't even know if he coaches. I know he's there. I know he's got sunglasses on. I know he's got a beard now. Warren Sapp is there. I don't even know what he does.
He's got a beard now.
But if you're,
I think that was on O'Leary's resume at Georgia Tech. I have a beard now.
Coach O'Leary's a Long Island guy, and Coach Millette knows him, and that's another conversation for another day.
It's another podcast.
It's a whole nother podcast. Throwing your offensive line under the bus, not good. No, so to answer your question, no. Those schools, I think Mike Norvell will stick around again.
He's got a big buyout, right? That's why. Or am I thinking of
Napier?
Napier's got the buyout. Right?
Huge buyout, and I don't even know if he can coach the PAL at Bethpage. Okay, that's number one. Number two, I think Urban goes back there.
You think they want that distraction of that monstrosity, that monster, that warden?
You talk about,
I hate that guy.
Winning makes everything go away, and that's what he does. And he recruits, and you say what you want. He wins, and he wins. And he's done it there, and why not one last run with the girls in Gainesville?
I don't know. I don't see Florida getting that next Tim Tebow in there, but whatever. All right, so
I mean, Joe Burrow played for him, right?
Not really. They didn't really play. Got the hell out of there.
He was there.
Went to a players coach. Balled out.
Yep.
So, just on Shedeur, you don't think NFL prospect wise he's a Shedeur thing?
No, that was terrible. That was clever.
All right, look at. I'm done. Colorado. I know they're not good. They haven't, but they're playing Colorado State. With that game, I think ended at 3 a.m. last year, and it was actually good and close.
Great game.
So maybe that game's
lost at Colorado State after last year. Lost.
All right. Bama goes in. We'll do some predictions here, some picks. We'll do it quickly.
Yes.
Bama goes to Wisconsin. 16.5-point favorites. I think they win by 24. Tyler Van Dyke cannot read a defense. They're looking good. I know they played a close first half against USF, but they always play USF and they always play it close, whether there's rain or not. I think Bama goes into Wisconsin and shows the Big Ten who's boss still. What say you?
Van Dyke. I'm on Bama. Van Dyke, the Miami Van Dyke.
Yeah.
Wisconsin's probably the most boring team next to Iowa in football.
Iowa might have an offense now.
But
they're scoring like 19 points a game.
It's better than their average of 9.
And the unders don't hit anymore.
No, Bama goes in there and wins. Roll Tide.
All right. Top 25 matchup. Some might say, what year is this? What sport is this? BC at Mizzou. Mizzou is 16-point favorite. SEC team with a experienced offense, good quarterback, good receiver, good home field. Really, they
Yeah,
kept
cool.
Georgia. They kept Georgia close in Mizzou last year. Bill O'Brien,
Bill O'Brien. Enough
good
said.
coach, knows what he's doing at BC. They go in. Any thoughts on BC Mizzou?
Mizzou wins. BC covers.
All right, fair enough.
Bill
I don't
O'Brien's
disagree, but I
great.
can see. I could see
Like a
a
late pick
late
six
a
or
late
something.
touchdown where Mizzou wins.
Possible.
But,
But it's a
all
great
right.
home atmosphere, like you said, and
Yeah.
and Bill O'Brien. He's a college guru, and I think it's like you said, it could be like that mistake at the end.
Another top 25 game on Friday night, because the NFL is done with Fridays, thank God. Arizona at K-State. Kansas State is -7 favorite at home. I think Kansas State gets it done. I still think Arizona's finding their footing. What about you?
Kansas State at home for me. -7.
Same.
I don't trust any Arizona team for anything, unless it's basketball and Mike Bibby's on the court. But that's about it.
All right, and then we mentioned earlier, I think Notre Dame wins. I think they win and cover at Purdue. It's a 9.5-point spread. You disagree. You think Purdue wins outright.
Yep. Not for
Yeah.
me. Not Notre Dame for me. I'm gonna take the Boilermakers. In state at home after that disaster embarrassment that Notre Dame put on at home.
All right, fair enough. And then game day heads to South Carolina for the LSU South Carolina game. LSU is a 7-point favorite. I'm a little surprised. Thought it might be a little lower. You think South Carolina is going to cover or win outright? We talked about this before.
Both. South Carolina's going to upset them at home. It's going to be upset of the week. South Carolina Gamecocks beat the Tigers. Kelly, I don't know what he's going to do with the press conference this week, but we'll see.
To quote the great Mike Tenay, Bash at the Beach, 96, Hulk Hogan, Vin Del-Speranzo, you can go straight to hell. Or was that Larry Zabisco? I don't remember.
It was Zabisco. But
it was Zabisco.
Yes.
I think LSU wins. I think they squeak out a win. They probably don't cover. I think LSU. I'm still trusting Nussmeier after a sloppy game against Nichols. Sloppy first half. Hey, it's good to see a running back. You know, who he looked like. I don't even know. He looked like a guy out of the 50s for Nichols. He played great, but I think LSU wins. I don't think they cover though.
I'll tell you what. I love the LSU quarterback. I think he's going to be a good pro. I think he's got all the mechanics, and his arm strength is incredible. And he looks like he's a pretty smart kid.
It's a guy who stayed, learned, wanted to stay, loves Louisiana, loves that school.
Yep.
And that leads to success in most cases.
There you go.
All right. And then we have formerly the Civil War. I'm still going to call it the Civil War. The playing for the Platypus Trophy. Oregon at Oregon State, 16.5-point favorites are the Ducks. I don't know. You think they bounce back and cover?
Yeah, this is the game. Yeah, I think this is the game that they come out and show them that this is the top 10 team, top 5 team that Oregon's supposed to be. And I don't know much about Oregon State. I don't even know if they're in a conference. I have no idea.
Oregon State is one of the 2 teams left in the Pac-12, which just today, I believe, added 5 teams, including Boise State.
All right, so that's a positive for them going forward. Oregon, I think this is their coming out party. Unfortunately,
I do agree. And then 2 more rivalry games that we're getting way too early because all this fucking conference shake-up shit. The Apple Cup, Washington State. Washington State goes to Washington. Washington is a 4.5-point favorite at home. They lost a lot. They lost their coach. They lost Polk. They lost their quarterback, obviously. I think Washington State beats them. I did watch a little Washington State last week. I haven't seen Washington yet. I know they lost a ton. Maybe I'm wrong. Doesn't matter. I'll not put my money on it. But I would say Washington State gets a win.
They'll cover. I can tell you that.
Yeah, fair enough.
I don't know much about Washington State after they lost their whole team
and then
last year.
The last rivalry game, the Backyard Brawl's on. That's West Virginia at Pitt. West Virginia, last I saw, was a -2 favorite. Right. Always a good game. I think West Virginia actually probably wins by closer to 6. 6 or 7. I think Pitt's a little down this year. Maybe I'm wrong. They could prove me wrong. What about you?
I'll take the Pitt Panthers at home.
All right, good for you. All right, that will wrap up football. And then real quick before we get out of here, just some miscellaneous things and some MLB. So MLB, big thing right now. If you're not too focused on the MVP races or best record, the NL wildcard race is hot and heavy. We have the Diamondbacks, the Padres, the Mets, the Braves. I'm not going to include anyone else other than them. Do you think? I know the Mets are playing 7 with the Phillies now.
The Mets schedule is a gauntlet coming up.
The last 16, they have 3 against Milwaukee, 7 against the Phillies. Do you think the Phillies keep the Mets out of the playoffs?
So it's interesting. They don't face Wheeler this next run coming up, which is huge.
They get Nola tomorrow, right?
They get Nola. They get Suarez. Is it Ranger Suarez? Is that his name?
Yeah, Christopher Sanchez, right?
Here's the deal. You can't get no hit into the 9th inning against the Blue Jays and have these heroics. It's a nice win.
That was the third time.
Third time. I think the Phillies do. 7 games against them is tough. That Brave series is really what's going to come down to.
Braves and the Brewers,
yeah, and they play, So that's going to be the and if you go in to look at Arizona and San Diego's schedules too, they're
Arizona
tough.
has 6 with Milwaukee. Milwaukee's fighting for best record.
They're not going to just, hey, by the way, Arizona's here.
The Padres, I believe, play like Colorado, sandwiched in between the Giants and someone.
I want to say the Diamondbacks. I
saw it before. What'd you say?
I did too. I think it's the Diamondbacks.
And the Braves have obviously the Mets.
The Royals, I think, too.
The Royals are a good team. I had us up earlier.
I saw it too. It's the Mets schedule isn't any harder than those other guys. It's pretty even for the most part. I just don't like playing Philly 7 times in the last 2 weeks.
Well, expand on that. It's 7 with the Phillies, 10 with the Phillies and the Braves. Do they survive that?
I don't think they do, and I think it's just comes down to pitching, which they don't have, and that's you got a lot out of them. You got a lot this year out of guys that I did not expect to get a lot out of, and I don't know if they can continue to provide that. And Peterson's number 1 on my list. He obviously got beat up the other night, but first time all year, really. Are you going to get 7 shutout innings from Severino every outing going forward, which you need at this point? Are the bats going to wait till you can't wait till the 9th inning against the Phillies to start hitting?
No, absolutely not.
And it's just, of course, my heart wants them to be in it. Of course, and listen, the picture was painted for us in spring training. This team's going to be okay. They're not going to be a 100-win team. They'll be competitive. They're a lot more competitive than we thought. Listen, no Acuna on the Braves makes a world of a difference for that division.
No Riley, no Albies.
Yeah. So
no Strider.
Yeah, it's that team is legitimately loaded. Sale had a sick year.
Cy Young, right? Cy Young, Sale?
Could be.
We'll talk
I
about
don't see
that.
anybody else.
We'll talk about
so that. It's hard. It's not easy. But no, I don't think they survive that.
Phillies have arms, and does Skeens get Cy Young votes?
He should.
All right, so we'll talk about that in another episode. Well, something I did want to get into, and I know it's completely based on what's happened so far. We don't know what's going to happen. We do have these teams fighting for playoff positioning. I wanted to get into quickly predictions for AL and NL Manager of the Year.
Yeah.
AL, I'm going with I think Joe Espada at Houston is going to win it. Do you think Royals manager? Who do you think? Who do you like? Who do you like in the AL?
I like. So, as the award should be, did you think the Royals are going to be in the position they're in right now?
I did not.
Did
I
you
don't know
think
if
the Mets
anyone
were
did.
going to be in the position they're going to be
Maybe
in
Jeff
right now?
Passan, who lives in Kansas City. But
Maybe. I think it's a conversation of the Royals and their manager right now and what they've done, how they've done it. No one, I could, like you said, maybe except Passan, would have expected the Royals to have the season they had
Ned
and
Yost, by the way, Ned Yost.
make the playoffs. So I think them and they're not. They don't have Bregman and Jordani and Verlander and the staff, and they
have a bad Verlander.
They got Seth Lugo, 15-game winner. Seth Lugo, the Royals. So that's my vote for the AL.
I'm gonna go with Spada just because new manager. I don't know, new manager, whatever. I think Houston gets that for some reason. NL, I think it's a 2-manager race. I think it is Mendoza of the Mets, who's had a very good year, very little complaints with him, very little mistakes. I know the pen was bad; he couldn't really do anything.
Yeah,
and then I think it's Pat Murphy with the Brewers. Brewers playing lights out all year. They lost their GM and president of baseball ops. They lost Counsell, who got a ton of money from the Cubs, not the Mets, like people thought. So I actually think Murphy does win this award. I think Murphy comes in a close second. What about you? Or do you think there's another candidate?
So you think Murphy wins Mendoza's too?
I do.
It goes back to my Royals conversation. Nobody expected the Mets to be in contention, conversation. Mendoza had a great year for them. Obviously, we see a lot of him and being, living in New York and in the area. And it's one of those two guys, I think. I think it's not even close.
But did you think the Brewers would? I mean, they lost Burns. Woodruff is out all year.
It's the same conversation for the Mets. It goes both ways. So either one of those guys, because of what they've done, how they've done it, and Yelich is hurt. They don't have him in the lineup. Chirio's been amazing for them. So one of those two guys, who it's going to be, I don't know. I think it might depend on who goes a little bit. If the Mets don't make it, I don't expect him to get it.
Correct. Yeah,
I think you'd have to make the playoffs to get there. The Brewers will be in the playoffs, and then if the Mets do make it,
I'm leaning
what
Murphy
happens
there
from there going forward. But once again, Carlos Mendoza did a fantastic job. I would be the first person to tell you, I did not think he would be the guy to coach the Mets. I always thought first-year guys were a problem. I always thought that they didn't have success, and I can go through a laundry list of people that you know and I know, and we don't have enough time. I'm happy that they like him. They play for him. And that's a huge part of everything. So that's, a big part of playing for Mendy. So, so one of those two teams for the NL for me.
Yeah, I mean, again, I didn't know much about him. I'm over the ex-Yankee influx in Queens. Right. Whatever. He's doing a great job. I'm over that. I'm over that with him. I still don't like. All right. Oh, Severino, Bader, all these guys, like whatever. But it's panned out. Get me a good player, and I'm clearly not going to care when Soto packs his bags, comes
over to Queens. Yeah, no, that's a given.
But sometimes it's just a little like, all right. Especially after seeing Strawberry, Gooden, Cone do great things over there. Anyway, that's just me personally. Let's get into
Beltran was a good Yankee.
What's up?
Beltran was a good Yankee too.
I forgot about Beltran. We want to do the flush now?
Yeah, let's flush and finish. Right.
I want to do a little miscellaneous real quickly.
Yeah.
But we'll do the flush. This is our Royal Flush weekly segment. We give you 4 picks for a parlay.
1 and 2 last week.
I was 0-2. I suck. So fade me. Listen to Vinny. My 2 picks. I'll go first. In college, Memphis plus 6.5 at Florida State. Memphis is they are an experienced team. Senior quarterback. Rock Taylor at running back, Williams at senior running back. They have talent. Florida State is reeling. They need a win. I don't think they're talented enough to win desperately. I'm taking Memphis plus 6.5. Don't be surprised if they win outright. I believe it's plus 90, maybe plus 205. My second pick will be Houston covering the 6.5 when Chicago comes into town. Vin, do you want to give your 2 picks? Or do you want me? I have them written down.
Yeah, no, I'll give them to you. I have Oklahoma at home, -13 versus Tulane on Saturday. Oklahoma at home. I think last year, the year before, Tulane and them, they went at it. It was a shootout actually, which was wild. But I like the Sooners at home there. Tulane played a great game last week actually against Kansas State, so I think they might have left all their cards on the table last week at home. So I'm taking the Sooners -13. I'm going to take the Washington Commanders for the NFL game on Sunday. -2.5. Giants are terrible. I don't have anything to say more than that.
Jaden versus Neighbors.
Yep.
LSU boys.
It's LSU boys going at it. That's probably like the highlight of the show. I couldn't tell you. If you saw this pick 6 that Daniel Jones threw, I don't even know who he threw it to. It's
Van Dinkel,
just another
former Dolphin, I believe. Van Dinkel, I believe.
Dable out, Jones out, new start.
Get a quarterback. You should have done it last year.
Belichick, and I thought it was going to be Dak, but he got locked up.
You failed.
All right, so that's episode 2. But before we go, I just want to do some miscellaneous things, some RIPs, the Gaudreau brothers, the tragic death.
Yeah.
Shame.
Rest in peace. That's tragic news. Johnny, well on his way to the Hall of Fame, stud player. I wanted him as an Islander fan when he was free agent. I know he was mainly looking at, I believe, maybe the Flyers and Devils before he ultimately signed with Columbus. And his brother tragically passed, drunk driver, just being a drunk driver. So that's sad. Another one, James Earl Jones passed, voice of Darth Vader, Coming to America, Sandlot, Field of Dreams, right? Legendary actor, legendary voice, the age of 93. R.I.P. to James Earl Jones.
Yeah, that's a shame. And
then quick WNBA. Liberty are going to win the title. We can get into that when the playoffs start. No one wants to play the Fever in the playoffs. Angel Reese out with wrist surgery. Best rebounder ever in the league. We'll get into that as the playoffs start in the WNBA. And then the last thing for Vinny. Did you watch Monday Night Raw? Did you see who showed up in Calgary?
The Hitman.
Brett.
And Natalia.
And Natalia.
Yeah,
Brett
the Hitman's back for that little episode.
He was my favorite guy growing up, along with Razor Ramon, the Ultimate Warrior, Scott Hall.
I love the Warrior.
And Mr. Perfect. Those are my guys.
Great heels.
Good. Yeah. Good to see Brett. He didn't move around too well, but he sounded good.
Yeah, no, it's just for us older wrestling fans and grew up with guys like Brett. It's cool to me when they, not coming back every week, but when they do things like that, it's nostalgic and it's nice to see. I didn't see him talking or move or whatever he was doing. I just saw him in the ring with Sami Zayn, who had Johnny's jersey on that night in Calgary.
It's where the Calgary's play. That's where Monday Night Raw was, and there's a whole place to drop flowers and snacks and. Yeah, actually, cool. WWE did a nice job presenting that.
Yeah, they did a nice job at that
with
too.
Jackie Redmond, who covers the NHL and WWE. All right, so that's going to be episode 2. Hope you guys liked it. My new backdrop. Hopefully, we made you guys laugh. Please comment, like, subscribe, share. We're trying to, get better, be better, entertain you guys. Give you guys some
insight,
if not good info, funny comments.
Whatever we can provide.
But as always, thanks for watching.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, like, subscribe.
Let's get potty mouths out there. Let's get it going.
Hey, let's get it going. Until next time. Next week we're going to try for Tuesdays and Thursday, right?
Yep.
We're going to try to flush out these episodes.
Yeah.
Tuesday reaction, Thursday preview. Yeah. We're going to try to do that if our schedules allow.
Yeah, we're getting into it because we got NBA around the corner. We got NHL around the corner. We're getting excited here, and we got a lot to go through. So,
all right. So as always, thanks. Stay tuned, and have a good one. Place those bets.
Thank you.
Have a good one, guys.